Now on KGW News at 11, COVID testing troubles. Some parents finding it tough to get their kids tested on time ahead of school.
That we definitely can see in our call center stats that testing demand has picked up.
Clinics hoping to keep up with the demand. And a vote in redistricting Oregon is delayed. Why the House decided to hold off voting for a few more days. Plus,
there's a lot of space in various parts of the facility that could be used to support this.
The city of Portland finds a new location to help house the homeless. And welcome to KGW News at 11. Thank you for joining us. We start tonight with a shortage of COVID-19 tests. It's causing frustration for a lot of folks, especially parents. A growing number of their kids need those tests in order to stay in school. Catherine Cook looked into the best way for parents to get one.
Good morning. Good morning.
In-person learning is back, but with COVID bearing down and most kids too young to get vaccinated, fear of transmission is still real for parents, including Hans Heinzer.
We didn't even make it 2 weeks before we had our first fear, and it turned out to be okay.
But getting the COVID tests that led to that reassurance was more complicated than Hans expected.
So yesterday it was actually very easy. I called my pediatrician and we were able to get in within a couple of hours. And my second kid was sick this morning, and we called the same pediatrician and they said we're no longer able to accept testing. We are overrun with too many tests from kids in school.
I would say the demand is outpacing the current supply.
Jessica Guernsey is public health director for Multnomah County. She says they've added more testing hours to their clinics to meet demand, while trying to balance demand for vaccinations.
It's really a matter of staffing. The entire healthcare system in public health is stretched beyond its limit right now.
So what should parents do?
To get a test quickly, the first thing to try is to call your pediatrician or your healthcare provider.
Dr. Peter Reed is a pediatrician and president of Pediatric Associates of the Northwest. He says even they suffered briefly from a shortage of testing supplies, though they're fully stocked now. While it might be tedious, Reed says testing children is a critical part of protecting schools and the greater community from COVID.
Even for trained providers like us, it's not possible to tell from one child to the next or one person to the next which symptoms are COVID and which symptoms are any number of other cold viruses.
If a pediatrician isn't an option, check with your child's school. A growing number of them are offering COVID tests. Another option, call 211. Operators can direct you to testing sites both near and far. There's also a drive-through testing option at the Expo Center that requires appointments, and there are several county-run clinics.
If you go to a community test site, you are likely going to have to wait at least a bit of time to get a test, and I know sometimes that can be difficult for kids.
Hans Heinzer is grateful his kids are healthy, but he expects more tests are in their future. He hopes what his family went through will help others in the same boat.
I just want there to be more information for the parents to get their test. A little cold doesn't keep their kid out of school for 3 or 5 days.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Minimizing the spread of COVID while also keeping kids in school is a tough balancing act for public health officials. Multnomah County health leaders told reporters today transmission in schools is still very low, but they are looking into 5 schools where they think COVID spread. They also talked about Reynolds High School, where students are back in distance learning this week. 4 people tested positive and hundreds had to quarantine. Officials say this situation proves how staffing struggles in schools and on buses makes contact tracing a challenge.
We can talk about closing a school for public health reasons, but that's not going to keep kids from mixing. And if anything, they're better off in school for the learning and in a structured environment where people are reminding them to wear their masks and to stay apart. So that's part of what we're struggling with.
Testing is one way to avoid large quarantines, but public health officials say vaccines for kids will play a big role in keeping them in school. Washington Governor Jay Inslee says the state's hospitals need more help. He sent a letter to the White House COVID team asking for more staff. The governor says COVID hospitalizations have doubled every 2 weeks over the summer. He's requesting 1,200 clinical and non-clinical staff through FEMA. However, there is a bit of positive news as recent data shows hospitalizations appear to be coming down. The battle over redistricting in Oregon will continue for at least a few more days. The House announced it will reconvene tomorrow, but won't take a vote until Saturday. And it's not because of politics this time, but because of COVID. House Speaker Tina Kotek adjourned today's session before any vote could be cast, announcing someone who was in the Capitol yesterday had tested positive. This comes after the 2020 census showed Oregon's population had grown so much it needs a new 6th seat in Congress. The Democrats' proposal has already passed the Senate. It would all but ensure the seat would be blue. House Republicans are mad because yesterday, Speaker Kotek revoked her promise to let bipartisan committees lead the way on the vote. Kotek argued Republicans have been stalling the process and refusing to work together. Republicans say they've been tricked.
The plan was, in fact, to get gerrymandered maps through this body no matter what.
I know they are upset, but honestly, I have been upset with them since the census data came out.
Lawmakers have until next Monday to get new maps finalized. If that doesn't happen, the Secretary of State will draw up state legislative districts. A committee of 5 judges will handle congressional districts. Now let's get you caught up with our other top headlines tonight. Coquille Senior High School in Coos County is being forced to shut down because of COVID cases. 15 people tested positive last week. All in-person classes, athletics, and extracurricular activities are also being shut down at the school for at least 3 weeks. Online learning is set to start tomorrow. The hope is to have students back in class by October 11th. The man killed in a deadly shooting in the Kenton neighborhood has been identified as 44-year-old Sean Edward Garner. Portland police need help finding the suspect who shot Garner early Sunday morning. Police found him dead near Kenton Park on North Brandon Avenue. If you know anything, you're asked to call Portland Police. Today, the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office announced a deadly explosion in Troutdale was, quote, not criminal in any way. It happened early in the morning on Monday, September 13th. After firefighters put out the flames, they found a man dead in a burned car. Police have not released a cause of the explosion. In the days after the explosion, deputies also responded to another explosive device call in the area, but they say the 2 incidents are not related, and the second call was a false claim. Caught on camera, a vicious attack. Investigators say 3 men assaulted a 4th in what appears to be a case of road rage. KGW's Mike Benner has the details and a look at the video.
Video obtained by KGW shows a violent attack along the off-ramp of a busy interstate. You'll notice 3 men punching and kicking a 4th man who's on the ground and clearly overwhelmed by the rage. We're told this happened back on Friday, September 10th in the Hazeldale area of Southwest Washington. Authorities say a 50-year-old Vancouver man pulled off of I-5 at 78th Street to confront the driver of a silver Volkswagen Golf about something that happened moments earlier. According to investigators, the driver of the Golf and his 2 passengers got out of their car and began assaulting the other driver. Witnesses recall a vicious attack before the aggressors finally took off, leaving behind the victim with what are described as severe facial and head injuries. Law enforcement wants you to take a good look at each of the 3 suspects, captured on camera by a witness. You're also urged to take a close look at the suspect vehicle. It has a large decal on the back window. If you recognize the car or the suspects, you're asked to contact the Washington State Patrol. WSP detectives also want to hear from anyone who may have been driving in the northbound lanes of I-5 near the 78th Street exit between 9:20 and 9:35 on the night of September 10th. If that's you and you have dash cam video, get in touch with police. I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
Well, let's hope